Hiya guys, we're here in the woods and I've been here about 2 minutes and already I have found some delicious edible forageable plants in December on the, what is the date? On the 28th of December, middle of winter. I found a friend too. See, he's sticking to me. If you guys have watched some of my videos on turkey tail, you already know what this is. But let's just test it out and see what the bottom looks like because it does have lookalikes. None of the lookalikes are poisonous, making this a wonderful beginner fungi for new foragers. And if we look at the bottom side of the shelf of the mushroom, it has pores. So that means that this must be a turkey tail mushroom. This beautiful banding, I've seen many different kinds of variations. I've seen turkey tail with purple variegations. Oh my gosh, just gorgeous. You can see so many different colors in these things. Look at this little batch here. So beautiful and golden and amber and all these different beautiful colors. Oh my gosh. I'm pretty sure we have some falsies over here too, so we can take a moment to just learn about the other lookalikes again. So as you can see on this specimen, there is some banding present. It's a little bit more pale, a little bit less dimension in the stripes. This one is an older turkey tail, so this one is past its prime. It did rain the other day, so it's not very hard and firm and stiff and hard to break off like it usually is when it gets older. But this is an older turkey tail. I would not recommend eating this one because it is past its prime, but still a very beautiful specimen. If we look over yonder, there's another huge colony of turkey tail over there. And I also see probably some polypore. But you know what else I see? I think this is garlic mustard. But one way to find out is to crush the leaves, smell them. I don't think this is garlic mustard. This smells more like ground ivy. Ground ivy is very high in different minerals and vitamins. I've heard in many different books and traditions that it's known for its ability to help the skin, and I've read in different books that it does have very strong antiviral properties. And I feel like everybody could use that during the winter season. And this kind of plant typically grows on like a vine that climbs along the ground. So if you look under this leaf litter, we can see that the leaf pattern kind of follows what I expect from ground ivy, where it comes off this main stem and it has many different leaves coming off of that viney stem. They do have nodes that kind of latch into the ground and form more roots. So if we follow that, there's the root system right there. It's got a node where it's digging in. That doesn't mean that the plant ends though. So we keep following that. And there's more leaves. So this is ground ivy after more investigating. See that node there? I'm sure soon it's going to be weighed down and grow some roots and attach, just like that one did right there. And it will grow more leaves off of every node. You can follow this down even further and see that this is all the same plant. And we'll cover that back up so it stays nice and warm. Leave some of the leaves out so that they can continue to do their photosynthesis thing. But yeah, you can eat those in salads. You can eat them like spinach. You can make a tea out of them. That is a very versatile edible as well. This is that cluster of turkey tail up close. Look at that beautiful velvety coat. The little hairs. Oh, so beautiful how they glisten in the sun. Just gorgeous. Look at all these colors. There's no filters or anything. This is just the pure glory of nature. This, my friends, is garlic mustard. It fooled me once. So I picked a leaf and I squashed it up and I smelled it. And it smells like garlic. So this indeed is garlic mustard. And we've got some more over here. And I think these are second year plants. So in the summertime, they will grow very, very big and they will grow white flowers. But I like to pluck the white flowers before they bloom while they're still in the budding phase. I like to eat those because I feel like they have the strongest flavor and they're really good. So I'll fry them up and saute them and all types of stuff, but you can eat just the leaves alone and put them in a salad or a stew or blanch the leaves and fry them up with your food. You can do whatever you want. Tastes good. No matter which you do. It's tasty. If you like garlic and onions, you'll like that plant. And I don't feel bad about harvesting it because it is very invasive and it starts growing a lot earlier than all of these native plants here that usually are adjusted to the seasons and will wait until they know that the frost and winter is over before they start growing. So oftentimes that garlic mustard and other invasive plants will take over that space and they'll shade out those seedlings, those native seedlings. They'll take all the water, all the nutrients from the soil, and that garlic mustard is already established and probably budding their flowers by the time that those native seeds even sprout and germinate and try to grow. So I try to clear the land out before the native seeds germinate that way. Maybe it helps the land out a little bit. So that's my little way of giving back. That's an example of getting to know your native plants versus invasive plants so that you can harvest sustainably and ethically. Yes. This is mullein. You don't really want to harvest a specimen this dirty because they do have these tiny little hairs that will just grab on to everything. Some people are worried about it not drying properly when you wash it and attempt to dehydrate or hang it to dry or whatever your method of drying may be. Some people are concerned that it might not dry properly, and so that is a risk to your health. You do not want moldy or bacterial-ridden herbs in your tea or salad or food or whatever you're doing. So yeah, just keep that in consideration, but it does grow in this basal rosette pattern. So if you're familiar with dandelions, how they have one singular space in the middle where all the leaves stem from and grow in kind of this circle pattern. Here's a couple babies. So on their first year, they'll stay in this basal rosette, and then their second year, they will bolt and create a beautiful stem with yellow flowers. And I've noticed that they kind of bloom at different times. The whole plant will not bloom at the same time. They have little tiny flowers all over the top. Can't show them to you right now. Y'all know I got you. I came through with pictures. So this is mullein flower stalk during its second year in the summertime when it shoots up these beautiful yellow flowers. And you can kind of see what I was talking about. Not all of the buds are opening at the same time, as you can see. So there is a photo for you guys. It's not that season, but it's just really cool. Kind of like provides a food source for pollinators and bugs throughout the season instead of all at once. Very, very interesting. But yeah, I would dig up the roots in this season and wash them real good. Maybe put some oil seasoning on them, salt and pepper, some herbs, typical Italian seasoning, whatever you throw in there. And I would throw it in the oven. I love roasted roots. That is mullein right there. If you pack it in, you pack it out. Don't leave trash. That's not cool. I know you're cooler than that. Don't be that person. Just pack it out. Don't leave stuff. Hey y'all. This is second year mullein, Verbascum thapsus. The leaves are dead and dried out because they only live 2 years, so at the end of the second year they're done for. But you can see the residual hairs, and it's probably lost its basal rosette, but I'm sure earlier in the year it did have the same basal rosette pattern at the base of the stem as the first year would. And this is kind of like the shape of the flower stalk. So in the summertime, these will all be budded and slowly working its way down the stem, it will bloom, but not all at once, just over a few months. It'll slowly bloom over time. It'll start to seed at the top and slowly start to seed at the base of the flower buds of the stem, kind of like as it buds throughout the season. So it's really cool. Although it is invasive, I try not to harvest too much because a lot of pollinators like it, a lot of birds like the seeds. A lot of species do benefit from it, so I don't harvest it too much, even though it is invasive. So it's important to know which invasive plants also have ecological benefits to the other creatures in the forest. You just gotta think about that a little bit. So, yep, there is second year Verbascum thapsus, or great mullein. As you can see with this specimen, some of these great mullein or Verbascum thapsus only have one flower stalk, whereas the specimen I showed you just before had multiple flower stalks. Some people think of those as a sign of pollution and genetic mutation. I'm not exactly certain, but it's always good to err on the side of caution. I have seen these berry bushes earlier this year throughout the spring and summer, so I know this for a fact to be black raspberries. So it's got this red stem with this powdery white residue. You can focus, please. Thank you. And we can kind of wipe that away. So that's an indication of a berry bush. It's got these thorns, of course, that you've got to be very careful of. Those beautiful thorns. And it's got the typical berry leaf pattern. A set of 3 leaves, serrated with that middle vein. This is wild hemlock, or a hemlock tree, not to be confused with poison hemlock. I just like their cute little pine cones. They're so adorable. Look at them. Oh. And this, of course, is a beautiful, beautiful pine tree. So pine is very high in vitamin C and a lot of other good, wonderful things for your body. And that is always sought after and valued during the winter time. So I love making pine needle tea during the cold seasons. Yes, highly suggested edible. Well, would you look at this cute little guy? He's so cute. Look at it. Every land has its own unique little microclimates, so you're gonna find different things on different land. Now let's go see what else you could find. We've got some rose hips. Those are really delicious. And ramps, I would not classify this as a beginner-friendly forage food. There are toxic lookalikes, so make sure that you look into that. And we've got chickweed. Chickweed gets started really early. And we've got cattails. I know you wouldn't expect that as a food. You can actually dig up the roots or tubers and make lots of food from them. And speaking of roots and tubers, let's look at other things that we can eat. We've got sunchokes. Now these you have to know where they're growing during the growing season, because in the wintertime everything kind of looks the same and dead. And burdock, you're going to want to harvest the first years. You don't want to harvest the ones with the big bolting stems and the Velcro-like seeds. And dandelion's good too. You can eat the leaves and the roots. Chaga mushrooms, those grow almost always on birch trees, but those are edible too. You can eat the mushrooms themselves. And they say that it's actually a parasitic fungi that will eventually kill the tree. And all of these trees I'm showing you can be tapped for their syrup or used for water. Historically and throughout history, trees were a valuable resource. Thank you so much for following along. It is so great to be able to share this knowledge with you guys. I love learning and teaching about forageable, edible, wild plants. It's so fun to learn about wild foods that you can get for free for the price of the time it takes to harvest it. And that's just awesome. So tell me guys, what is a plant that surprised you that you didn't even know was edible? And what's a plant that you already knew? Tell me a plant that you guys already knew was edible. And let's share this knowledge, guys. Thank you so much for following along, and we'll see you in the next video.